we are Team 1, and for our Management 300 project, we decided to evaluate the management problems at Ford Motor Company. My name is Shelby Oakley.
My name is Ryan Jordan.
I'm Austin Zimmer.
I'm Daniel Anderson.
I'm Joey Smith.
I'm Chandler Elkins.
Alright, so we started off with a SWOT analysis. So some of the strengths at Ford is that they have a strong brand image and also an effective innovation process. Some of their weaknesses is that they have higher costs than some of their competitors and also a limited global scope. Some of their opportunities that they have are cost reduction along with global expansion, and some of the threats are aggressive competition rivalry along with fluctuating oil prices. So we started off with a 5-step process in order to evaluate these issues. We started off by identifying all of the current problems, then we went on to diagnosis, found solutions for those, took them into action, and gave an evaluation. The first problems that we started out with were Six Sigma, poor employee satisfaction, which ends in a high turnover rate, decision makers' strategy decisions, lack of clearly defined strategy, poor communication with employees, stakeholders, and customers.
So we narrowed these management problems down to 2 main problems. The first one is poor organizational communication. And the second main problem is the unfair treatment of employees. So the first problem, poor communication. Ford utilizes a trickle-down approach. And we see this from recent news when the board of directors questioned the CEO about his decisions regarding electric cars and autonomous cars. And this shows us that, if both the board and upper level decision makers aren't on the same page, then we know for sure that the boots on the ground, making the magic happen aren't going to know what's going on. And the second is lack of stakeholder confidence. So Ford uses this drip, drip, drip approach to the media and to the public. But they haven't announced many of their electric vehicles, and they have given almost no details about their fully autonomous car due in only a few short years. And this brings us to a lack of stakeholder confidence. If there's not a constant flow of information, then they're going to get tired of waiting for that next drip and they're going to move on. And the second problem is the unfair treatment of employees. So with Six Sigma, we took Six Sigma and we compared it to Henry Ford's original plan. And we looked at both processes in a state of economic downturn. And so we looked at Ford's original process in the post-war depression of 1918. And then we also looked at Ford's use of Six Sigma in 2008. And in 2008, Ford took a $14.8 billion loss, as opposed to in 1918, with Ford's original plan, they made shareholders made out in good dividends, and the company made it out on top. And this brings us to poor employee satisfaction. With this economic downturn, Ford sustained a large drop in employee satisfaction, and this is due to poor wages. Almost an $8,000 difference between what Ford is paying its employees to what other companies are paying for equal jobs. And second is reliance on North American sales. So Ford and other countries are doing very poorly. For example, in Europe, they sustained a $250 million loss, and in China, only $200 million of income. And that's opposed to North America with $4 billion in sales.
Now, to resolve these poor communication problems throughout the company, we decided that they should implement bi-weekly meetings. So you'd start out with a meeting at the beginning of the week, so everyone starts off on the same page. Then you can meet later on in the week, implement the feedback that you received. They should use social media for announcements and newsletter like Volvo does, since Volvo's known for having good communication in the automobile industry. And on this, they should share milestones and big things coming up in the next months. And employees, stockholders, and customers will have more involvement. And then they should set specific goals and milestones so that the managers and employees are on the same page and have something to aim for while they're working, not just doing the same job over and over, so they can increase their productivity.
So solution number 2 deals with Ford's unfair treatment of employees. And we kind of dive into the Six Sigma approach, and Ford Motor Company put its reliance into the Six Sigma approach in the late 90s and early 2000s in order to improve like 4 main areas of their company to give them a competitive advantage over car manufacturers. Even though early on they found some success using Six Sigma, like tackling areas like reducing costs and improving quality of their products, Six Sigma began causing problems by not holding up during economic downturns like in 2008, causing a lack of commitment from employees, especially at the top level and senior management positions. First, implementing a way to ensure employee satisfaction would be to implement employee satisfaction plans in order to several compensation programs for different types of employees. Giving feedback and encouragement daily will also help employee satisfaction in the company. Putting emphasis on training top-level managers and employees throughout the whole company will also provide employees with more satisfaction and a sense of belongingness with the company. Also, a significant amount of Ford sales come within the U.S., so global expansion can be extremely beneficial solution to the lack of the diverse sales. Investing into things like research and development can be key when penetrating different economies and markets.
First and foremost, for any of these solutions to become possible, Ford is going to need to start a bottom-up change where all managers meet in a meeting discussing the problem itself and all aspects of it, whether or not it's going to be beneficial, the cons of it, anything like that. So with the first solution, bi-weekly meetings, they're going to need to start off by finding out what information they want to be shared through the meeting. This will help the managers better understand what is expected of them when they come to these meetings. From there, it's relatively simple. They're going to want to pick a date, whether it's the beginning of the week and then the midweek, or the midweek and the end of the month. That being said, after that, they're going to want to pick a time, whether that's before work at 7 o'clock before the day starts, or after work when the days end. Secondly, we have the monthly newsletter. In order for this to happen, they're going to need to start the same meeting. From there, they're going to want to build a team who would head this newspaper or this newsletter. Then they're going to want to create a vision on how they want it to be. That vision can be helped by using a template that are found online. There's a lot of business templates that help businesses like this make a newsletter easy and simple for them. From there, they're going to want to find out what kind of info they want to gather and how they want to implement it. And then from there, they're going to send it out to all their subscribers from the subscription list they've had. With the third solution for poor communication is goals and milestones. This one can be pretty simple. They're going to want to meet and decide what goals and milestones are reasonable for these employees to reach. And then they're going to want to go tell these employees about this system and emphasize the benefits to it so that the employees are more encouraged to take part in it. The second problem with the unfair treatment of employees, the first solution was Six Sigma. In order to implement this, they're going to need to define the change and apply to Ford's goals. From there, they're then going to want to start a communication strategy and how they're going to communicate using the Six Sigma strategy. From there, they're going to start effective training for all employees so that they understand what Six Sigma is and how to use it. And then finally, it wouldn't hurt to have Six Sigma handouts such as these to help employees understand when they're not exactly sure what the next move is. The second solution is a reward system and a generous pension plan. The first thing that the Ford is going to need to do is understand what they financially are able to do, whether or not they can give a certain reward out to an employee or whether they just financially cannot. From there, they're going to decide what are appropriate rewards for what work has been done, followed by they're going to need a system to track each and all the progress that each employee makes. Finally, they're going to need to inform the employees about the reward system and program so that they better understand what they are now working for in a different sense.
All right, thanks, Joey. So moving on to the evaluation, looking at our first problem is poor communication. Obviously, like has been previously stated before, bi-weekly meetings is an obvious solution. To evaluate that, we need to take in check the performance and productivity to see how the employees are responding to these meetings, see if they're actually beneficial or not. And then we also encourage the employees and managers to take notes. So if just to see if they're retaining information and knowledge to see if the meetings are actually beneficial. The next solution is implementing a monthly newsletter. So a way that we can evaluate this is to put a survey on the end of it and have employees and managers respond to that along with stockholders just to see what they didn't like, what they did, and anything they can add on just so they feel like they're contributing to the company as well. And we can also look at the stock price. So when this goes out to the stockholders, we can see how they view it, and see if they gain more trust in the company, ultimately affecting the stock price. The next solution is to set milestones and goals. So to do this, we need to measure the employee and manager's daily performance. So everybody knows in order to meet that upper level goal, top goal, you need to come into work every day on time, readiness, ready to work. So we'll evaluate that in performance and then see the individual goals. So the next problem, unfair treatment of employees. The first solution, employee pension plans, like previously stated before. So when given these incentives to work harder, so maybe it's a Friday off every other month, maybe it's a bonus reward for the most sales, we want to see if that actually increases the productivity and performance of our workers. So an example would be in sales, whoever reaches the highest sales goal gets the most clients, you get a $100 bonus at the end of the week. And then the next solution would be a culture change. So how we evaluate that is from our overseas sales. So if the sales go up, it means that the culture change is working. We're starting to relate more with our customers overseas. Customer relations and reviews. So the reviews positive in person and online on the website or just in the individual sale. See how that is. And then if all is well, we can go into expansion possibilities and move forward with that. So in conclusion, Ford, what they need to do first is identify those two main problems that we stated. We need to take this approach, which is basically giving the greater good to everybody, so finding a benefit for everybody. We need to not make just a single change, but because it won't fix everything, but we need to change a whole bunch of different aspects to get the whole thing done. Also, these problems are intertwined, so with both of our main problems, when you fix one, it helps the other. If you fix the other, it helps the other. So these problems build on top of each other along with the solutions. But overall, Ford has been doing well, and we only think that changing these will help.
Check me out. My name is Ryan and I smell like roses. My first section, it's called the diagnosis.
That's all we got. We're sure be like.
All right, that works.